today, as special as it's been. I know I've had a great time, and we're not nearly there yet, so here's to a great evening. It was a lovely ceremony as well. Let me say thank you to the three interesting ladies who did such a great job of marrying you earlier, and thank you very much indeed to yourself for doing a great job in the church. I've, as I say, Craig, of course, thank you. It has been pointed out, this is my very first wedding. I've never experienced this before, and the whole thing's been heartening, entertaining, and all-round enjoyable. I'm having a great time. So, right, as you may notice, despite what I may have said to Tim earlier in the week, I'm not exactly feeling 100%, but here we go. It's wonderful to see you all here. I won't extend my thanks to all of you. Tim and Stephen have done a great job of doing that already, but just to reiterate, you've all made such a great effort to be here in celebration of the happy couple, and it's wonderful to see you all. So give yourselves a big round of applause. For those of you that don't know me, I met Tim in my first year of university. I believe it was Tim's second first year. And if we count Dad into this as well, I think there were probably about 8 first years between the three of us. Just a few anyway, mate. I do remember our uni days fondly. The three of us were reprobates, I suppose, but Tim's been getting on at me for many months now of what not to say in this speech. And I'm wondering exactly what he might be referring to, because to be honest, for those of you that know him best, he's really a middle-aged man in a young man's body. The stories don't extend particularly far. The memory that sticks out the best for me is of late nights playing Risk. Tim in his... Let me get to that. Tim in his proudly owned and worn pith helmet, holding a pipe, but never actually smoking it, just like the look of the thing. There are photos to prove that. You may see them around the place. Yeah, and last night, in fact, the very night before his wedding, with the ushers and his best mates around him, that is precisely what we ended up doing. We played a world-conquering board game until late in the morning. Rock and roll, Tim. Yeah.
Did he win?
You're a true reprobate.
Who won? Who won?
Nobody. We never finished it. No one ever wins. But who else, of course, but some kind of enormous military geek would go back and study military history at university later in his life. Who else would have taken his stag do to go and play war games in a forest and shoot each other for a few hours, and then the following day with our hangovers spend about, what was it, 4 hours wandering around a war museum studying weaponry and suits of armour. It was, well, to be honest, actually, I'm sure the lads who were here can vouch for me. We had a pretty good time, so we're not going to hold it against him.
Was that the Leeds Armoury? You went without me.
Sorry, buddy. We'll go back one day. That's enough of Tim, though. On to the beautiful bride, and just to reiterate, Chloe, you look unbelievable today. I've never seen you look so stunning. And Tim, I've never seen you look so proud of yourself. When I first met Chloe, it was fairly soon after she and Tim had first met, and I remember thinking, here's a woman who can rein him in and control him and really put a ring on his finger, and that's exactly what's happened today, and I couldn't be happier for them. So congratulations to the two of you. I have very fond memories of their early years together. Chloe travelling back and forth from Leeds, Tim travelling back and forth from Sheffield. Although why Chloe ever came to visit Tim in Leeds, bearing in mind the state of his house back in those days, I can't even begin to imagine. Yeah, you're remembering it clearly now, aren't you, Chloe? the way that Tim and Chloe met. Now, wow, it has to be done. We relived a certain amount of this experience on the stag do. Actually, we did the Otley Run in Leeds, which is a series of 18 pubs from the outskirts of town down into the centre, and it was after this mammoth drinking session that Tim and Chloe met, when Tim stumbled into Chloe, spilling her drink all over her. And I believe it was only the chivalric gesture of offering to replace it which won her hand eventually. I've been... He says it was a cheap date. I've been knocking drinks out of strange women's hands for years now, and it hasn't paid off yet. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, memories of when they first got together. I remember the first place that they lived in. Suspiciously well done out, actually, especially compared to where Tim had been living. So I think that was almost entirely by Chloe's fair hand. I remember them getting their first pets together, the turtles. Are they still alive? No. Sadly. I remember being very sad when they moved away, but very happy for them because they'd moved here to be closer to family and to make a life together. I remember hearing the news that Chloe was pregnant for the first time and being over the moon for them. And it was really then that it sunk in that these two wonderful people had devoted themselves to each other, and that they were going to spend a long, happy life together, being there for each other and raising beautiful and lovely children. I can't wait to see them grow up, and I'm sure everybody else is looking forward to it as well. So here we are on their wedding day. I was thrilled when Tim asked me to be best man, somewhat confused, but thrilled nonetheless. I can only assume that everybody else had said no, or that probably he just wanted to make use of the van that I drive, which has turned out to be pretty handy, but there we go. I think, strangely, my mother has been about as excited about today as I have. Not quite sure why. It's either something to do with the fact that she gets to see photos of me dressed up smart for once, or maybe the fact that it is, as has been pointed out, the very first time I've ever been to one of these events. She's been offering me all sorts of very strange advice, we couldn't quite make head nor tail of, but it's all paid off today, and I hope I've done a good job for you guys.
We have.
Thank you very much. She asked me She asked me what sort of wedding they were going to have, and my response was, well, fairly traditional by all standards, and she replied, surely not that traditional. They do have 2 children together already, don't they? There we go. But, as Bob Dylan once said, the times they are a-changing. Fortunately, Tim and Chloe have heard that song, and they are forming what is sure to be a solid family and a long and very happy life together. And that leaves really only one thing to say. To the bride and groom, everybody. To the bride. Thank you all very much indeed. That is it from me. Unlike these two, I'll keep it short and sweet. Have a wonderful evening.